The second movie I decided to catch up this week is none other than the latest Blumhouse horror movie called Ma. That one I got a little bit kind of interested of it, but mainly because the trailer showcases the performance of Octavia Spencer, an actress who I'm not exactly kind of familiar out of it, but the trailer seemingly really did kind of sort of impact and curiosity out of me, so much that I was kind of anticipating it. And just like Brightburn, that movie didn't show up in Japan, so I couldn't watch it, even that didn't even have the time also. But despite that, that kind of became the second movie I decided to watch in order to catch up with all the movies. And like I said again, this is kind of like a late movie review considering the circumstances. So I don't need to explain so much like I did in Brightburn. So let's jump out with it. So Brightburn, no, sorry, Ma. This time Ma is a movie that is about a couple of stupid teenagers who just want to do the typical thing that they want to do in many of those thriller/horror movies, which is not only than getting drunk and have a party. As because they're underage, they had to convince people to have them buy booze, but they didn't, and they meet, of course, Octavia Spencer, who plays this character named Sue Ann. Yes, Sue Ann. And she's kind of like this, well, let's say that it's kind of like this lady who, she's saying, oh, I know the kind of people you are, but I was like that, so I'm gonna help you out. So she helps them buy booze, she gets them everything, and she even provides them with the basement of her house in order for her to have everybody party. But little that they know is that that this Sue Ann / Ma, who everyone who she said tell them to call her like that, she has kind of like a creepy side of it. She's technically kind of like a stalker. She stalks them. She gets into their Facebook in order to get their phone numbers and everything. She meddles with their lives, and it kind of creeps them little by little. Is gonna creep them out. But of course, it's because she has some kind of agenda with these teenagers. She has an agenda with what she's doing, and so on. I will say that to summarize, there's something really bad that is going to happen if they stick up with that character, and that's basically the summary of this one. And I'll say this, that for a Blumhouse movie in which usually these kind of movies comes out being either really bad but laughable or really, really bad, this one kind of comes off a little bit of a different breed, I'll say. It's probably the closest thing to being as good as The Gift. But technically that's not saying much. I'm not going to say that it's a terrible movie, because I have a little bit of a problem with this film. Mostly, maybe you're gonna feel that, oh, there's about stupid teenagers doing stupid things. Yeah, it has that. A typical Blumhouse stupid teenager who just want to drink. It has them. But in its surface, it's also the movie is technically helped out from being mediocre, thanks to, well, some good writing that is around in this film. But the biggest goal that this film has is none other, of course, than Octavia Spencer herself. She is really good in this film. Actually, she's amazingly good. Considering that there are other actors there, some newbies, and I think there are some old ones, I think. Octavia Spencer shows that when you give her the correct role and the correct character, she is great. She just comes out as being not only kind of like a creepy character, but also in a way sympathetic. considering that I came out from Brightburn. Then I did mention that in Brightburn, their main villain is technically also sympathetic. Well, that's kind of debatable. But the difference is that in mine, this case, or Sue Ann, which is technically our main antagonist of this film, she does also come out. She does comes out being actually more legitimately sympathetic, more than the Brightburn kid has, which I'll get to it in a minute. The movie's pacing is indeed slow, I will say. The movie really takes so much building up until we finally get to the moment where the world crumbles down. Yeah, it does that, but in a way, the movie kind of earns it if you are not bored out of it. And again, it helps that Octavia Spencer does a really great job with the movie that keeps you intrigued during the whole movie, or else you're gonna just get stuck with just kind of like a stupid teenager and the stalker mother, the stalker character, Octavia Spencer character. Although this, apart from Octavia Spencer, the movie actually centers on this character named Maggie, who is played by Deanna Silver. You'll see her at the beginning of the movie. She just moves into town with her mother. She has kind of like a quote-unquote very relationship with her own mother, because they do talk, they do kind of share hobbies and all this stuff, but the mother kind of she kind of works kind of in a bartender in this small town. She makes friends with these people, and yeah, again, it's all about drinks, and by sheer coincidence, then they meet Octavia Spencer, who kind of gets too much into their social circle. She provides them with the drinks. She provides them with somewhere to hang around, because apparently, well, you know that teenagers cannot be anywhere outside drinking because it's technically illegal, well, at first the gang they do warm up with Octavia Spencer, but then again, things get kind of creepy, especially, and everything starts when she warns them, saying that whatever they do, they must not go up the basement, and when they do, they find clues that there is something sinister out of her. But honestly, before that, I wish since they're stupid teenagers, there was a kind of like a red flag that happened early in the movie, and this is kind of something that is pretty prominent in many of those movies, in which you have to lower the IQ of some of those people in order to advance the plot in a way. Although sometimes it's kind of hard to believe, and I'll say it right now, because before that happened, there was this scene in which, yeah, they were hanging around talking with Ma. Yeah, everything happy hanky dory. One of these guys kind of made a comment, and then Ma kind of just saying, she pulls out a gun, and he's like, "Okay, guy, okay, dude, get undressed, and it feels threatening in a way." And the guy's like, okay, and he gets undressed, and she's like, I was just kidding. This gun doesn't work and all this stuff. And the stupid teenager reaction isn't that. It's pretty. It was like, yeah, that's our ma. In real life, if someone points at you with a gun, busted or not, or joke or not, this still out of bad taste. At that point, it was like, oh no, Mario, fuck you. I'm not going back there. Oh, they do come back because, well, who can't resist a drink? seriously, it's kind of like alcohol is kind of like the ambrosia of the gods for teenagers. So at this point, I will say that this is a whole kind of story out of it, but because talking more about this film, it does require a little bit of some kind of analysis, truthfully analysis. And well, I think that since the movie came out a few days, I bet that you want my guy wouldn't want mind. So okay, so well, like I said, well, the movie concentrates on the main character having her suspicions on Octavia Spencer. It is the movie cleverly kind of shows that our main character, well, our main villain, which is none other than Octavia Spencer, is not exactly kind of like a quote unquote villain, let's say, or a villain for the sake of being a villain or something like that. Kind of like unlike the Brightburn kid. The kind of villain that Octavia Spencer is, and as Sue Ann, is mostly that it's kind of the type of villain that I will say that she's a broken character. It's a character who kind of had a kind of like a hardship on the past, and the character doesn't have the strength to cope with that, and ultimately kind of the movie it somehow kind of became kind of like a revenge film, I'll say. And the movie shows this by showing about her past, how she was kind of like a geeky girl who tried her best to fit in, but didn't feel that they fit in until later it is revealed that they did something horrible to her that ends up humiliating her to the point of trauma, and then you also see that her life is not exactly also pretty glamorous. Everyone treats her like she's a loser, like she was. Her life didn't get any better. She became a little bit overweight. Well, no offense to Octavia Spencer, just in case. She tries to fit in, but sometimes, but apart from the stupid main protagonist, they treat her pretty badly. She tries to have, she can't get along with people. She kind of smacks at them because of her attitude. She works as a desktop she works on the desktop of a vet clinic, and the head veterinarian, she doesn't exactly treat her kind of like pretty badly, but she kind of underestimates anything that she always sees her in the kind of like in the bad moment where she's on the smartphone or something like that, and she degrades her as a lazy person. And once she begins to have these kind of revenge, in a way you're creeped out by her stalkish movement, because she's kind of like a professional hacker, I'll say. She just gets into Facebook, Instagram, and all the social media that this kid had, and that's how she kind of calls them. She got their phone number and everything. And again, it's all because she has an agenda with not only with these kids but also with the parents. Oh, but speaking of which, I hope that this movie teaches many teenagers a lesson that you don't put exactly all your information on social media. Because who knows? Maybe you might come out with a crazy person and might do these kind of tricks. Before I continue with the plot of the movie, there are some technical issues that I do have to address a little bit on this movie. First of all, like I already established, the movie it's kind of like a slow film, and I think that this movie is a little bit longer than Brightburn compared to these two, but I will say that this one, it does kind of take this time to develop and learn about the Octavia Spencer's character of Sue Ann. And sometimes we do kind of share and see the personality of the other character, like her character Maggie, who is it's kind of like the straight-faced character who is into it, that she made a bad decision, and well, now she finds out about the dark side about Ma, in which I'll get to it. And again, it doesn't, the movie it is probably in the last 45 or 35 minutes of the movie that finally things get the tension and the stakes become higher and to the point of deadly. So if you're looking for lots of blood and gore, you're not gonna get it. But again, you know what? Sometimes less is more. This movie is not that kind of film. This one is more of a thriller. Probably I'll say that this one is a little bit on the level of the other another one of the Blumhouse best film, which is none other than The Gift. And but also a little bit on a technical level, I think that this movie is a little bit more low budget compared to Brightburn. And you can feel that there are some technicalities on the camera, I'll say. The most notable, and I don't know if this is me or it's the projection, but I did notice that sometimes in the camera, you're gonna see the shadow of an insect just crawling around in some scenes. I don't know if this is something about the camera, or it was something that they decided to leave it out or something like that, but I'm curious. Tell me if I'm wrong if you see this movie, Ma, that, again, it's not only once, but I think I saw it 3 times that you're gonna see the shadow of a bug crawling around the lens of the scene, and I don't know if this has to do with the movie itself, or artistic choice, or probably the projection of my movie theater, which I highly doubt, because I saw another movie which I'll get to it. But, and the other movie didn't have that issue. None of the movie had that issue. So I highly believe that Ma had some flies running around, going around. It's kind of distracting, I'll say. It is technically distracting. And, well, at this point, I'll say that the last thing I want to tell about this movie, it has to do it can be a little bit spoilerish. So, at this point, I'd highly recommend you to watch this movie if you are into thrillers. But at this point, I'm going to put a spoilers here. And here we go. So the movie, again, builds up that Ma is basically a broken character. When she was a teenager, she was kind of like this shy character, technically kind of like Carrie, let's say, in which she was dragged into peer pressure. She had a crush on kind of like the biggest jock of the school. And when she was kind of promised to have sex with him, they play a trick on her, and let's say that I don't kind of understand. I think they make her kind of have a blowjob to a doll in the dark, and with everyone watching, they humiliate her to the point to the traumatizing. And when she kind of realizes that most of the main teenagers, the stupid ones, are related to let's say that the children are the children of her classmates. She kind of decided to bring up her revenge against them by making them drunk, trying to ruin their lives. She stalks them. She at first she kind of tries to kind of fit in order to make up for the lost childhood that she made. But again, it kind of turns sinister when everyone begins to they kind of quote unquote try to avoid her. but she doesn't let them. She stalks them. Some of the parents are kind of like, she's not a good woman, and and then it comes to the point that she begins to to make them drunk to the point of being passed out, and she steals their accessories, and then she begins to target the parents and all that. And but also I want to establish. But aside from that, you might think that okay, maybe she has kind of like she does have kind of like a revenge on their parent on, or she wants to have revenge on the parents and all this stuff. So she's technically kind of like a character that can be forgiving. Well, let's say that there is kind of like a subplot also that honestly, I wish they could have leave out that subplot if they didn't, because they didn't handle it too much. There is the subplot in which the Octavia Spencer character, she actually also has a daughter that she only appeared first in the kind of like the beginning of the movie, but then she kind of reappeared into the film, kind of building a friendship with her main character Maggie. Remember that I said that Ma kind of warned them to not go upstairs? Here's the thing. Ma kind of became kind of overprotective of her daughter to the point of being abusive. And that's technically the part in which this is a character that you want to feel bad, but the things that she's doing, you can't, but still understand. The thing is that her daughter, she indeed can walk, but unfortunately her mother kind of wants to restrain her, making her believe that she's sick. She injects him with injections that have this medicine for animals to make them numb. It's kind of like anesthetic or something like that. So she can't walk, she can't go to school because for the sake of saying that I'm gonna protect you because so they won't laugh at you and all this stuff. And yeah, so basically Octavia is technically a broken monster. Although then comes later at the scene where she finally gets back at the jock, in which it kind of is well deserved, and the reason that she does to the characters, except for the daughter, it comes off as being justifiable, in a sense or another. So it is a broken character, and that makes the character much more interesting than what you think of. It's a very debatable character, and in a way, this is why despite being such a kind of like a movie with such stupid moments, you find that Blumhouse did something good for creating a character like that is either forgivable or unforgivable in both ways. But it shows that even humanity, even for human beings, they can be built up as monsters, but at the same time, the consequences of what happens is basically basically what makes us complicated. Let's say it is a complicated character that, of course, that it brings out kind of like a very bittersweet ending, I'll say. The ending, again, is really, really bittersweet, and in a way, this is technically a tragedy, I'll say. It is a tragedy that has a little bit of a horror element that is not exactly what this movie was going. It's kind of like a character study. And you know what? I think I should stop at this point, and I'll say that Ma was pretty. It plays the card really well and makes it one of the most interesting films I have seen. Though I do admit that there were some parts that I was kind of bored, but still, thanks to Octavia Spencer, I was more interested in it. So I do highly recommend. I do highly recommend you mod if you have yourself some time and you're interested to see one of the most complicated villains I have seen, in a while, at least for this year.